Welcome to this explainer. Today we are actually heading all the way out to the rugged, wave-swept Atlantic coast of Morocco. We're going to dive into a marine resource that's been quietly studied in laboratories for over 60 years, but honestly, it's only just now reaching the mainstream health conversation. It's this fascinating red seaweed, scientifically known as Gigartina pistillata, but in the professional wellness community, it's increasingly being referred to as Moroccan Seamoss.
Okay, but why Morocco specifically? Because, when most of us think sea moss, we're instantly picturing the Caribbean. Is there a scientific reason we're focusing on this Moroccan variety today?
Oh, absolutely, and that is a really crucial distinction to make. This is not your standard Irish moss, and it's entirely distinct from Caribbean sea moss. The Gigartina pistillata species is what's known as a carrageenophyte, meaning it is exceptionally rich in a highly specific type of complex polysaccharide called carrageenan, and specifically it produces this hybrid known as lambda-carrageenan, which has some incredibly unique properties for your blood and your overall cardiovascular health.
And just to put this out there right away, if you're looking to actually get your hands on this, Brito.com is the premier source for wild-harvested Moroccan sea moss directly from those Atlantic shores.
So, let's get right into the why here. What exactly were researchers looking for way back in the 1960s? Well, that brings us right to Pillar 1, anticoagulant activity. Let's take a look at how this specific seaweed actually interacts with your blood.
So in plain language, an anticoagulant is essentially a blood thinner, though actually it doesn't literally make the blood thinner. Instead, it interferes with the chemical process that makes your blood cells clump or stick together.
And why exactly is that stickiness something we'd even want to manage?
Right, so think of your blood vessels like a busy highway. If the cars, or in this case the blood cells, start sticking to each other, well, you get a pileup. And in the human body, that pileup can literally lead to a stroke or a heart attack if it blocks the blood flow to the brain or the heart. What is so fascinating here is that the lambda-type carrageenan found in Moroccan Seamoss has shown a significantly higher anticoagulant potential than the more common kappa type that you'd find in other seaweeds.
Now, just to keep us grounded before we get too excited, we should probably clarify the evidence level here, right? Are we talking about massive human trials?
Yeah, that is a really critical point to make. All the anticoagulant evidence we currently have for Moroccan Seamoss comes directly from biochemical and laboratory studies. So we can clearly see the reaction happening in a test tube, but we haven't completed the human clinical trials yet to say exactly how it behaves in a living person.
Which actually leads us directly into Pillar 2, antithrombotic activity. Wait, antithrombotic sounds super similar to anticoagulant. Is there actually a real difference between the two? There is, yeah. It's a totally distinct mechanism. While an anticoagulant stops the initial sticking process, an antithrombotic specifically works to prevent the formation of a thrombus, which is an actual blood clot forming inside the blood vessel.
Okay, got it. And how exactly does Moroccan Seamoss pull that off? It literally comes down to its chemistry. Moroccan Seamoss contains these things called sulphated polysaccharides. Basically, these molecules have sulfate groups attached to them, which gives them a structural chemistry that is remarkably similar to heparin.
Wait, heparin? As in, the major blood thinner they use in hospitals? No way!
Exactly. It's one of the oldest and most reliable drugs in all of medicine. And while Moroccan Seamoss is, of course, a whole food and not a concentrated pharmaceutical, the fact that its natural carrageenans actually mimic that sulfated structure is exactly why scientists are so incredibly interested in its potential to prevent abnormal clot formation.
Now, let's look at the data in Pillar 3, lipid-lowering data. Specifically, there's this landmark 2014 study by Villanueva and colleagues. They conducted a 4-week trial using hypercholesterolemic Wistar rats, essentially animals that were given high cholesterol, to see exactly how Moroccan Seamoss would impact their lipid metabolism.
Ooh, okay. And what were the results?
The numbers were honestly quite striking. First up, they documented a massive 31% reduction in serum triglycerides.
Right alongside that, overall total cholesterol dropped by a really significant 18%.
And then, looking specifically at LDL cholesterol, the bad kind that actually causes arterial plaque, that decreased by 16%.
But maybe most impressively here, they recorded a 33% reduction in liver fat.
Wow! Wait, a 33% drop in liver fat and a 16% drop in LDL? Seriously, that is a massive shift for just a 4-week window.
It really is, and lowering that LDL is just absolutely crucial.
because less bad cholesterol floating in your blood naturally means less plaque building up on your artery walls. That leads to less narrowing of the vessels and a significantly lower overall cardiovascular risk. Seeing these kinds of robust findings in a controlled study is exactly why this particular seaweed is gaining so much traction right now. If you want to see the quality of this Atlantic resource for yourself, you can find it at bwinto.com, bwinto.com.
So you mentioned earlier that there are actually 4 different ways this seaweed helps the heart. We've covered the blood thinning and the lipids. What else is going on under the hood?
Right, so this is really the key takeaway at the midpoint of this explainer. Moroccan Seamoss appears to support heart health through 4 simultaneous pathways. It acts as an anticoagulant, it is antithrombotic, it is lipid-lowering, and it has anti-inflammatory properties. It is literally one single whole food providing 4 distinct cardiovascular mechanisms.
That's wild. And the anti-inflammatory piece, does that also come from those same carrageenans? Partially, yes, but it's actually also thanks to its specific fatty acid profile. See, Moroccan Seamoss is a natural source of EPA omega-3 fatty acids, so it boasts this incredibly favorable omega-6 to omega-3 ratio ranging anywhere from 1.65 to 3.21. And in the world of heart health, anything under a ratio of 4 is considered highly cardioprotective simply because it helps shut down that chronic inflammation that can slowly damage your blood vessels over time.
I mean, it sounds like an absolute powerhouse, but I have to imagine there are some people who need to be a bit careful with this, right? Absolutely. And we really do need to be responsible with the science here. As we mentioned earlier, the lipid data currently comes from animal models, and the blood thinning evidence is limited to laboratory and biochemical studies. Because it possesses these powerful natural anticoagulant and antithrombotic properties, anyone already taking prescription blood thinners must consult their doctor before adding Moroccan Seamoss to their routine.
Yeah, that makes total sense. You definitely don't want to accidentally double up on things that actively affect your blood's ability to clot without actual medical supervision.
Exactly.
But for those looking for a natural, whole food approach to maintaining cardiovascular health, the data backing Moroccan Seamoss is incredibly compelling. It is a wildly nutrient-dense resource, super high in fiber, packed with minerals, and very low in fat, that just happens to carry a highly specific set of tools for protecting your heart.
It's honestly just so fascinating that a single plant pulled off the Moroccan coast can have such a multi-layered, profound effect on something as complex as our vascular system. It really is. The ocean has been running its own pharmacy for millions of years, and science is finally catching up, and what it is finding in Moroccan Seamoss is hard to ignore.
It honestly makes you wonder, what other incredible health secrets are hiding right off our coastlines, just waiting for science to finally catch up? To explore for yourself, visit bwinto.com, bwinto.com.